Hey Lifers, it's Jason Love. I am not going to have the intro music or any of that stuff, and this is hopefully going to be relatively short. So I recently started joining these Facebook groups for family members, or for the autistic community Facebook groups, basically. And while most people are supportive, there's some interesting controversies within the community, and people can be jerks. And there was a woman who was being a real jerk. I was trying to get people's thoughts on ABA, and so I made a poll because otherwise people just go back and forth, and then people who are mean just like take it over and not let anyone else. No one wants to talk because they don't want to have to deal with well, this exam. And I wish I could control that, like turn off comments, because in the poll it was asking basically, are you a parent of an autistic child who has had ABA? Are you an autistic person who had ABA? So that was very interesting. And then whether you're for it or not. So basically, did you have a child who had ABA, and are you against ABA or for ABA, or had good experience? So yeah, this one, and this has happened a few times. And most of the people, like I said, the majority are kind, but so far I've only posted for like 2 days, and there's been two or three people who are just jerks. And so I probably don't do this, and I don't know if I should start doing this. I'm going to start doing this. Okay, so I'm dedicating myself, and I ask you to do the same, if you'd like. No pressure. To stand up for people. So, not necessarily having to get into the fight, but telling people when they're being jerks, especially in those kinds of forums. And I think my plan long term is when I get I know I promised the website last weekend, but it will be up this weekend for sure, even though it's Easter Sunday and, have some stuff, but I can put off some other work to get it done. Anyways, my plan is to make my own. I'm just going to make my own group, but I also don't want to have to, there's some great Facebook groups, and I'm not going to be chased off by just a few people who think it's okay to call people bad parents or say that ABA is abuse. And maybe in some instances ABA is abuse, and I'm not trying to say it's not or it is. I'm just saying for them to judge my experience or my child's experience is both wrong. It's showing ignorance, and it's mean, especially when you're accusing people of being abusive to their children. And so I apologize because I know all of you that watch this have been wonderful and supportive to me and to each other. And, I am totally okay with having conversations and discussions on these things. And I'm totally okay with people saying, I don't want to talk about this anymore, if they get upset, because that happens. But I am not okay with people saying, you're abusing your child, you're a bad parent, all these things, for situations that they're just guessing. Like, they have no clue. They might have done ABA therapy before, but that doesn't mean it's the same people or the same situation. There's a parents, there's the organization that trains them, there's the individual therapist, there's the individual child, and each of them have hundreds, if not thousands, of different variables. And you're going to tell me that they have the answer. And I know some are like, oh, they're worried about sorry, I hope that didn't seem condescending, the way I'm about to phrase this. They're worried about forcing autistic kids or people to change. And that is a valid thing. For my son, he's in ABA therapy. His ABA therapy isn't to change who he is. It's to help him with his speech, to help improve his communication skills. Also his, eventually we're going to do potty training. I think everyone would agree that those are good things. And when he doesn't need that anymore, we'll see. He also loves it. And so I want to keep an eye. I do like people who are against it sharing their story, as long as they don't paint with a very wide brush and assume their experience is everyone's experience. Because I did watch a video not that long ago, and I'm not going to share because I don't particularly like the person who did the video. She's an autistic woman, and she shared her experience with ABA, and it was very moving. And you can Google that and find your own. And I don't even remember I just didn't like. She had that same attitude where she had a bad experience, so for everyone it's wrong. It'd be like me saying I had a bad experience at the movies, so everyone's going to have a bad experience at the movies. That's probably not a good analogy, but you get the point. You can't, especially when she had ABA therapy probably like 15 years ago. She wasn't that young unless she had it as an adult. And that's another thing too. Like they talked about how they talk to the kids. Yeah, I know the way our therapist talks to my son. I mean, he's 4. So that's how I talk to him because that's how he communicates. You use simple language to some child. If they were doing that to a high school kid, yeah, that would be definitely not cool to say stuff like same as same or whatever. They use these certain terms, to kind of like prompt. I can't even think of, or even just calling it table time. When you're like 17, that's that's not cool. And I don't know if they do that, so I'm just saying maybe they do, and that's their issue. But I don't know. It really pisses me off, especially when they're trying to say, don't judge me, and then they're running around judging people. What jerks! I'm just really pissed off, and I apologize to you guys again because I love you. Yeah. Feel free to. That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys for letting me rant. I'll see you tomorrow.